Some nights don't begin with fireworks. They begin with a lie you tell yourself because the truth hurts too much to say out loud. The moment Claire Whitmore said, "Only one bed available. We can handle this, right?" I should have walked away instead. I nodded, and that single choice set fire to everything I'd spent 11 years trying to bury. My name is Ethan Miller. I'm 28 years old, and I run my late father's auto repair shop in Scottsbluff, Nebraska. It's a quiet, grease-stained life, long hours, cold mornings. A town where everybody knows your business before you do. I keep my head down, fix what's broken, and don't ask questions. That system has worked ever since the day Claire Whitmore left this town and took the best part of me with her. Claire. Even now, saying her name does something to my chest. She's 29, a high-powered corporate attorney in Chicago, engaged to a rich lawyer named Marcus, living a life so polished and expensive it might as well belong to another planet. When she left Scottsbluff after high school, she didn't sugarcoat it. This town wasn't enough. This life wasn't enough. And I wasn't enough. So when her rental car died on Highway 26 during the worst May blizzard Nebraska's seen in 2 decades, and I was the one who got the call to tow her, I knew before I even saw her that this was going to hurt. She stepped out of that car wearing a designer coat and heels that made no sense in the snow, looking like she'd walked straight out of a magazine. But her eyes, those same green eyes that once looked at me like I was her whole world, were wide with panic. "Ethan," she whispered, like she'd just seen a ghost. The roads were shutting down fast. Pioneer Days had every hotel booked for 50 miles. And the only motel still operating in Scottsbluff had exactly 1 room left. That's when she said it. Standing in that tiny lobby, snow screaming against the glass, only 1 bed available. "We can handle this, right?" I should have said no. I should have laughed it off and slept in my truck. I should have protected the scar tissue I'd spent over a decade building. Instead, I looked into her eyes and lied. "Yeah," I said. "No one will ever know." The drive to the motel was quiet except for the heater, rattling like it was on its last breath, and the wind howling against the doors. Claire sat stiff in the passenger seat, hands folded in her lap. Every time the dashboard light caught her engagement ring, it flashed like it was laughing at me. I kept my eyes on the road. Still, I felt her glancing at me. Same way I was stealing looks back. The Pines Motor Lodge looked half dead, its neon sign flickering through the snow like a failing pulse. The parking lot was almost empty. Inside, the air smelled like burnt coffee and old carpet. Betty was behind the desk. She'd worked there since I was a kid. She took one look at us and raised an eyebrow. "Storm's getting worse," she said, sliding the key across the counter. "You two staying together?" Claire flushed. "We're just—" "Roads are closed," Betty cut in gently. "Room 12. Heater works. Extra blankets in the closet?" The hallway felt like a walk to the gallows. Claire's heels clicked against the worn linoleum. I carried her overnight bag. Soft leather, expensive, wrong in my hands. When I opened the door, we both stopped, 1 bed, full size. Floral bedspread that had seen better decades. 1 chair. A bathroom you could barely turn around in, Claire. Stepped inside and set her purse down. Then she looked at me, really looked at me for the first time since climbing into my tow truck. "This is insane," she said quietly. "Yeah, we haven't seen each other in 11 years. And now we're sharing a bed." "I know," she gave a nervous laugh. "This isn't how I imagined running into you again." "You imagined running into me?" The question hung there, heavy as the snow outside. She didn't answer. She took off her coat instead, revealing a tailored black blouse and slacks. Professional, polished, everything. I wasn't. "I'll take the floor," I said. "Don't be ridiculous," she replied. "It's freezing." "I've slept worse." "So have I." She sat on the edge of the bed, kicked off her heels and looked up at me. "We're adults. We can share a bed for 1 night without it being weird." It was already weird. The last time we'd shared a bed, we were 17, tangled in the back of my truck under a sky full of stars, promising forever. Forever that turned into never. I sat on the far edge of the mattress. Wind rattled the window. The heater struggled. Claire hugged herself. "I'm here to finalize the sale of my grandmother's ranch," she said suddenly. "Marcus thinks it's a smart investment." "Marcus," I repeated bitter. "My fiancé." I know who he is. Her eyes sharpened. You looked me up. This is a small town. Word travels. She pulled her knees up. That's why I left. There it was. The truth we dodged for years. Gossip, her father's drinking, wanting more. Leaving because staying meant becoming like everyone else. Staying meant choosing me. Your dad got sober, I said quietly. 3 years before he died. Her face cracked. I heard. He asked about you. You didn't come back. I couldn't. I had a case. You had an excuse. She flinched. Silence filled the room. I'm sorry, she whispered. For what? For leaving. For not calling. For everything. I wanted to stay angry. I wanted to hold on to the pain. But she looked small now. Human. Like the girl I loved. It's late, I said. We should sleep. We lay down fully clothed, inches apart. The space between us felt alive. Her breathing echoed in the dark. My heart wouldn't slow. I knew it then. By morning, nothing would be the same. I woke at 2:47 a.m. to freezing air. My breath fogged. Claire's teeth chattered softly. The heater was dead. Ethan, she whispered. I can't feel my hands. I turned on the lamp. Her lips were faintly blue. I grabbed the extra blankets and layered them over her, then stacked, pillows down the middle of the bed. What are you doing? She asked. Building a wall. She stared at me, then pushed the pillows to the floor. I trust you. Those words hit harder than any punch. I slid back under the covers. The cold forced us closer. She turned into me, fitting against my chest. I wrapped my arms around her carefully. Better? I asked. She nodded, pulling me tighter. Thank you. Silence settled. Then she whispered, I think about that night sometimes. The barn after graduation, I said. I told you I loved you. And I left anyway. Her voice broke. Leaving you is the one decision I can't justify. Why are you marrying him? I asked. Because he's safe, she said. Because he fits the life I built. Because I'm terrified of stopping. That's not love. I know. She turned to face me. Tears shimmered. I never stopped loving you, I said. I tried. But you're it for me. She touched my face. This is so unfair. Do you remember what you told me that night? I asked. She nodded. You said I'd always have a place to come home. I meant it. She took a shaky breath. I need to tell you something about Marcus. And as the storm howled outside, Claire Whitmore began to unravel the truth. That would change everything. The words sat between us heavier than the blankets, heavier than the storm beating against the walls. Claire's breath shook as she spoke, each sentence peeling back another layer of the life she'd built in the cage she'd wrapped herself inside. Without realizing it had locked. I'm not just here to sell my grandmother's ranch, she said. I'm running. I didn't interrupt her. I didn't move. I just held her while the truth spilled out in fragments, uneven and raw. 3 days ago, I found out Marcus has been monitoring my location. My phone, my email. He reads my messages, Ethan. He decides which cases I take, which friends I see. He plans our future like I'm an asset on a spreadsheet. My jaw clenched so hard it hurt. You're saying he tracks you? Yes, she swallowed. And the worst part is I let him. I told myself it was partnership, compromise, that successful relationships require sacrifice. But it's not. It's control. It's a cage, she laughed weakly. A beautiful, expensive one. Heat flared in my chest, sharp and dangerous. He's going to know you're here. My phone died in the storm, she said. But before that, he saw Nebraska. He'll come. The word come landed like a threat. There's a prenup, she continued quickly. If I break the engagement, I lose everything. The condo is in his name. The accounts are joint, but he controls them. He's a senior partner at the firm. If I leave him, I lose my job, my savings, my career. How much? I asked. She blinked. What? How much would you lose? It doesn't matter. How much, Claire? She closed her eyes. 200,000, maybe more. And my mom's medical bills. He paid when my insurance lapsed. If I leave, he'll demand repayment. 8,000 a month. I can't afford that. Her laugh broke. So that's it. I came here to say goodbye to the last piece of my past. Then I go back and marry a man I don't love because I can't afford freedom. She collapsed into my chest, sobbing silently. I held her tighter, rage burning so hot I could taste it. I pictured Marcus Rothstein without even seeing him. Clean hands, expensive suit, the kind of man who mistook ownership for love. "What if you didn't go back?" I said. She pulled away, staring at me like I'd spoken another language. "Ethan, what if you stayed?" "You're not listening." "What if you took the Nebraska bar? Open to practice here? With what money?" "We'll figure it out." She shook her head. "You barely know me anymore. Why would you risk everything?" "Because seeing you walk into that lobby reminded me how to breathe. Because some loves don't fade, they wait." "Because I love you," I said. I never stopped. She kissed me then, desperate, shaking, like the last 11 years had snapped tight all at once. When we pulled apart, she rested her forehead against mine. "I can't ask you to fight my battles." "You're not asking." "I'm choosing." "He'll destroy you." "Let him try." She stared at me, searching. "I lost you once because I was scared. I won't do that again." Slowly, deliberately, she pulled the ring from her finger and placed it on the nightstand. The soft click sounded final. "Okay," she said. "I'll stay." The knock came at 9:47 a.m. Sharp, demanding. Claire went pale. "He's here." I opened the door to Marcus Rothstein exactly as I'd imagined. Tall, polished eyes like frozen steel. He looked at me with thinly veiled disgust. "You must be the mechanic." "Where is she?" he demanded. "That's none of your business." He pushed past me. Claire stood straight, chin lifted. "It's over, Marcus," she said. "I'm not marrying you." His laugh was sharp. "You have no idea what you're throwing away." "I know exactly. You'll be broke, blacklisted. I'd rather be free." He turned to me, venomous. "Enjoy it while it lasts. She left you once. She'll do it again." "Get out," I said. He did, slamming the door so hard the walls shook. Claire collapsed into my arms. "I did it." "You did." What Marcus didn't know was that help had already started moving. Her mentor, a firm in Omaha, my insurance, the town. Scottsbluff took care of its own. Marcus sued. Then Discovery found his crimes. He folded, disbarred, gone. 1 year later, we stood before the same judge who'd married her parents. No prenup, no fear. That night, we went back to room 12. The heater still sucked. The bedspread was still ugly. But we were free. And this time, she stayed. Some storms rage outside. Some storms rage inside. That morning, the blizzard had begun to ease. But the tension between us had only grown thicker. Claire and I sat on the edge of that tiny motel bed, sipping coffee so bitter it matched the metallic taste of fear and adrenaline, still on our tongues. The heater groaned and coughed, its effort barely warming the room, but we didn't care. We had survived worse than cold rooms and small beds. We had survived 11 years apart, and the fight had only just begun. She was on the phone with her law school mentor in Omaha, her voice calm but taut, carefully threading words to arrange the smallest lifeline that might let her stay. I watched her, green eyes flashing with intelligence and fear, hands wrapped tightly around the chipped mug like it was the only anchor in the chaos. I could hear my own heartbeat, the pulse of years of longing and unspoken words thrumming in my ears. I knew the moment I saw her that life had not gone on without her. It had been waiting, holding itself together for her to walk back in. Then the pounding came, sharp, insistent, the kind of knock that doesn't just announce presence. It demands attention. She froze mid-sentence, the phone sliding slightly from her grasp. "He's here," she whispered, voice barely audible above the wind rattling the windows. I opened the door, and there he was, Marcus Rothstein. Tall, impeccably groomed, suit sharp enough to cut. The air around him was crisp, controlled, threatening. His eyes locked onto me, blue as ice and curled with disdain. "You must be the mechanic," he said without so much as offering a hand. "Where is she?" he demanded. "That's none of your business," I said, stepping closer. "Everything about her is my business," he spat, moving past me into the room with the arrogance of ownership. Claire stood by the window, arms crossed, chin high, defiance flickering in her eyes like a fragile flame in the snowstorm outside. His gaze fell on the engagement ring lying innocuously on the nightstand. His jaw tightened, and for a heartbeat, I feared he might strike her right there. "What the hell is this?" he barked, It's over, Marcus, Claire said, voice steady, clear, unwavering. I'm not marrying you. I'm not going back to Chicago. I'm done. He laughed, sharp, cruel, a sound designed to wound. Done? Do you have any idea what you're throwing away? I know exactly what I'm throwing away, she shot back. A man who treats me like property instead of a partner. That's what I'm leaving behind. His face darkened, anger coiling in his jaw and fists. I gave you everything. I paid your mother's medical bills. I gave you a life. And this is how you repay me? By reclaiming it, she said, calm but burning with intensity. By taking my life back. By choosing me over fear. Marcus turned to me then, venom dripping from every word. Stay out of this. You have no idea who you're dealing with. I will bury you. I will sue you for alienation of affection. I will take everything from you. Your little shop, your house, your future, gone. I didn't flinch. Go ahead. I've got a good lawyer, and she's not going anywhere. He seethed, scanning the room like a predator, deciding which of his prey to strike first. You'll lose everything. She'll lose her job, her savings, her condo, her career. $8,000 a month she cannot pay. And all for what? Some fantasy with a mechanic in a dead-end town? She'll regret this. Claire stepped beside me, shoulder brushing mine. Marcus's eyes narrowed, disbelief flashing over his face. You'll lose everything, he repeated, lips thin, trembling with impotent rage. You're making the biggest mistake of your life. She lifted her chin. I'm done living in fear. I choose freedom. I choose myself. I choose us. For a long moment, he just stared, face twisting with anger and disbelief. Then his smile curved, in a way that made my blood boil. One last sneer before he stormed out, slamming the cheap door so hard it rattled the walls and framed the finality of his departure. Claire sank against me, shaking. I did it, she whispered, a mixture of relief and terror trembling in her voice. I actually did it. You did, I said, holding her close, feeling the shivers leave her body and sink into mine. My own heart felt raw and alive, humming with adrenaline, fear, and a joy that made the room spin. What Marcus didn't know was that help had already been moving behind the scenes. Claire's mentor had made discreet calls. A small law firm in Omaha had offered her a position in 3 months, enough time to study for the Nebraska bar. My insurance, set up by my dad long before, would cover her mother's care for 6 months. And the town? Scottsbluff takes care of its own, within 48 hours. The community had rallied, providing legal advice, housing and moral support. Marcus did file lawsuits, demanding the prenup be enforced, threatening disbarment, and attempting to ruin her career. But discovery exposed his embezzlement from client accounts. He was disbarred within 3 months, unable to bribe, manipulate, or threaten his way out. Claire had stood firm, telling the truth, refusing every shortcut, proving the courage she had been hiding behind her polished exterior. 1 year after the blizzard, Claire and I stood before the same judge who had officiated her parents' marriage 30 years ago. Only this time there was no expensive ring, no designer dress, no prenup. Just two people who had found their way back to each other, choosing love over fear, choosing truth over security. Half the town attended. Her mother, in one of her lucid moments, cried happy tears. Claire's small law practice was already thriving, helping families who couldn't afford Chicago rates. My shop was busier than ever. We had turned my father's house into a home, ours. That night, we returned to room 12 of the Pines Motor Lodge. The heater still groaned. The bedspread was still floral and worn, but it didn't matter. We lay together, legally married, completely free, and deliriously happy. Thank you, Claire whispered, tracing my jaw with a trembling finger. For what? I asked softly. For fighting for me, for believing I was worth it. I kissed her forehead gently. Always was, always will. Be. She'd come back to Scottsbluff to say goodbye to her past. Instead, she found her future, and this time, she was staying. One bed, one blizzard, one choice, and everything changed. The snowstorm had passed outside, leaving a quiet, glistening world. Inside, we had rebuilt ours. Brick by brick, heartbeat by heartbeat, shoulder by shoulder. Freedom, love, and the courage to fight, it all began in that tiny motel room.